Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Secret Life of Therapist. I'm your host, Dr. Habiba Zaman. I have Miss Sarah here with me. She is an author. She is a teacher. She's a mom. She is someone who's done nonprofit organizations and fundraising. She is a fantastic woman. I'm excited to have her here so we can get to know her and her books. How's it going?
Wonderful. I am excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course, of course. We need so much more of what you have been through and what you're going through and what you've survived and what you've advocated for. So I appreciate you being here with me. Tell us a
Thank
little bit about, everything.
Fantastic. Well, I'll start at the beginning because I think it helps to inform where I am today.
Yeah.
So I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, grew up in St. Paul, went to college in St. Paul, met my husband who's from Belgium, who came because there are many international students at the college we attended, Macalester College in St. Paul. And then I started traveling around the world. And as much in college as I could leave St. Paul, for as much as I love St. Paul, I did. And so I traveled to Japan and China and Spain and South America and studied at the United Nations in New York and got a feel for the world and fell in love with language. I studied Spanish and French and tried to incorporate the world as much as I could into my life. Fred, my husband, and I eventually got married and lived in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And a few years after that, we moved to Tokyo, Japan. And
Oh,
it had been our lifelong goal together to move to a place that was neither of our homes. So since he's from Belgium, Europe was off the table. And since I'm from the States, Minnesota, US was off the table. I do realize that that's a broad distinction there. But we wanted to go to Asia. And so we had the opportunity to move to Tokyo and took advantage of it. And at the
that's
time, we had
amazing.
a 2.5-year-old and I
Oh,
was
wow.
8 months pregnant.
What a huge, huge transition. I'm wanting to move at some point, and Tokyo, we loved it. I took my sons this past November and they absolutely loved it. I loved it. I swear I ate more than two teenage boys. It was insane. And my son's been studying Japanese, so he was 100% my guide. I was like, tag, you're it, buddy. Like, we're doing this all authentic as much as we possibly can. And it was such a beautiful country. However, I'm waiting until, one's in college right now, the other one is in high school. I'm waiting until they're old enough for me to make the transition. I cannot imagine being pregnant and with a toddler trying to move to another culture, another language, another country altogether. Wow.
Yeah, my husband and I are truly adventurous and wanted to experience something that was very different from our own and wanted our children to grow up in a place that wasn't ours so that we could
100%.
embrace our own culture and have our own experiences and know what it's like to not fit in and to have to work hard in order to do that.
Yeah.
And the complexity of what happened was when we moved there, I'm 8 months pregnant and we go and see a doctor because I'm about to deliver a baby. And the doctor says, I see a dark shadow in the abdomen of your baby. And because of that, at this clinic where we speak English, cannot deliver your baby. It might be something, it might be nothing, but you can't deliver a baby at my hospital if there's an issue. So I'm sending you to the level 3 trauma hospital far from your home, this apartment we were living in. Even though we'd only lived in Tokyo for a month, I spoke almost no Japanese, and my Spanish and French were not very helpful. And the most important part, or the most complicated and difficult part, was at that hospital, they do not allow your partner, husband, mother, anyone to come with you. So you
So
are
no
allowed
social support
to
at all.
deliver your baby.
Oh, wow. How terrifying.
Yeah. And so at 4 o'clock in the morning, about a month after we moved to Tokyo, my water broke and I went in a taxi by myself. And my husband stayed behind with our 2.5-year-old. And I
Yeah.
went to the hospital with the feeling that I didn't have with my first child. But the feeling was, this baby has to come into the world. The only way it can do that is by me giving birth to it in this place where I'm alone by myself. And the worst possible thing happened, which was that baby 2 days later, when she was born, had multiple medical issues.
Um, Again, I am a mom and I had plenty of complications with my two, and they were still healthy. I needed to have emergency C-section and C-section the first time as well. But the second time I tried VBAC just because I was like, I'll stick it to them. Like, watch me, right? I got this. I didn't got this. That was not going to happen. My bone structure was never going to allow that to happen. And so if I didn't have modern medicine to recognize that and then, to help me deliver, I wouldn't be here right now. And my children probably wouldn't. And that alone was so difficult. My pregnancies were very difficult. I was on bed rest with both of them because, again, my body wasn't meant to have children, and we didn't find that out until the second one, 19 hours of labor with the second one later. Then they're like, by the way, this is not supposed to be for you. And so, again, a lot of difficulties, but still not anywhere near what your experience was the second time around. And I cannot imagine, like, my heart is racing right now just because of how difficult it was for me. And even then, not having the struggles of not having support, not having language, right? Just the language part of it, just the sheer panic that I would have I would have experienced if I was in your shoes. I'm just, the courage, just,
Thank you. So after she was born, a doctor explains to us that her bladder, bowel, and uterus are fused together. And as a result of that, over the next 7 years, we spend our life going back and forth between Tokyo, where the first operation took place and where she was in the NICU for 5 weeks, neonatal intensive care unit, and Los Angeles, which is where one of 3 surgeons in the world at the time could perform the surgery, the first one of 7, to put her body back together again. So here we were in this foreign culture, loving where we were, thrilled to be in Japan. And then we ended up having to go back and forth between Los Angeles to save our daughter's life.
I can only imagine.
Wait, you're cutting out. I can't hear you.
Oh no.
There, now you're back.
Okay.
You said,
See,
I can
again,
only
yay.
imagine.
Well, you were probably just in survival mode, right? You do what you need to do to take care of her. What else are you going to do? And I can only think about everyone else, right? The whole unit as a family, what it might have been. I don't even know if you allowed yourself to acknowledge what you were going through. I know I didn't in the beginning because we didn't have the luxury of doing that. It was, I need to get whatever done. So a lot of dissociation, a lot of just checking out, and just one foot in front of the other.
You just described exactly what happened. And feedback. Um, And so, I don't know why this is making noise. Can you hear feedback? Or are you okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So what happened was exactly what you described. I ended up feeling lost, feeling despondent, and entirely focused on taking care of that baby and not about myself.
Right.
And those 7 years were all about saving my baby's life.
What was it like? I mean, I don't know if you remember. I can understand checking out so much that you don't even have memories of it. I know a lot of my years as a young mother was very much like that. What was it like with a toddler that you also felt like you had to be responsible for, right? To give love to give attention to, and a husband.
That's a big part of the story. I ended up spending so much time focused on my younger daughter trying to save her life that it became incredibly complicated to be able to give time and attention to a marriage and to another child.
What was that like for you? I still struggle with feeling like I didn't do enough, or I don't do enough, or mommy's a failure, right? Like I still feel that way, and they're nearly grown.
Yeah, well, exactly right. So my daughters now are 25 and 28, so they're grown up. The second book that I wrote, however, focuses on mental health.
Yeah.
And that story takes place, starts in 2007 when we moved back to Minnesota. Our daughter was whole and healed, and we were going to start over again. And at that point, we'd been through 7 surgeries, and it turned out when we arrived back in Minnesota that our daughter had to have an 8th operation. And when that 8th operation happened, both of us took a tailspin down because of what you had said. We had ignored all of the mental health issues that go with this kind of intense medical focus. And it happened to both my daughter, who went through all the surgeries, and me.
So what had happened? If you're willing to talk about it, of course.
Yes, of course. And so the first surgery that happened was to repair bladder and bowel. And then over the next 7 years, it was surgeries to perfect what had done to make it so our daughter could go to the and so when we moved back to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, it turned out that she ended up having a stone that was created because of her man-made bladder, and that stone had to be removed. Once that happened, then both of us started to focus away from the medical. And the issue started with my daughter. She didn't get to go to sleepovers because she had to have special medical procedures every night. She didn't get to go to friends' birthday pizza parties in the evening because she had to do medical procedures. We couldn't go camping because there were medical procedures. And a 7-year-old little girl who lost out on the excitement in the life of growing up didn't get to happen for her. And as a mother, I'm trying to do absolutely everything I can to give her the fullest life, both of my daughters, and that ends up being extremely difficult as a result of the difficult circumstances we're in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no pretending that she's going to be a normal little girl, because she wasn't. And that is so unfair, both for her and for you as a mom.
That's exactly right. The feeling as a mother that I'm desperate to give her the best possible life. But we were stuck in medical appointments and blood draws and urine samples and all kinds of different doctors came into our life. And I tried to schedule all those appointments after school. That just meant that we couldn't go to play dates and we couldn't go to the playground because we were the doctor's appointments. So there's this tension of a mother trying to save her daughter's life and the daughter trying and desperately wishing to have her own life. And as she grew up, you can imagine that became even more complicated. This is a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl trying to be young and independent. Her mother has to be there every step of every day in order to help her to have medically get through the day.
That transition is so difficult for all children. You know, whatever. Scientifically, I can't help myself. It always ends up going there, even though I say that we're not going to do that. But we are biologically primed to separate from our parents around 12 to 14 years of age. That's when they leave home. That's when they used to leave home back in, years and years and years and years ago, eons ago. So that there wouldn't be any inbreeding. That was the whole point of that way back when, developmentally speaking. That was the point of it. That's not how it is now, but that need is still there to differentiate from your parents so that you can have an identity of your own. And it's challenging on the best of days with the most normal of circumstances, right? I have 2 teenage boys, so yay. On some days we're besties, and some days it's like, I'm going to put myself in a timeout in this corner, and I know you guys are definitely going to go into your respective corners as well, right? But that was impossible for you.
That's right.
I know with the mental health challenges my sons went through because of some things that they've experienced that were unfortunate at their young ages. I had to, even being a therapist, I've been doing this. I have been licensed for 14 years now, and no longer than that. Either way, watching them struggle through that while I have the knowledge, I have the expertise, I help everybody else go through this, and I couldn't for them because I'm not supposed to, right? I can only say, hey, by the way, and then it's usually like, you don't know nothing, right?
Right.
And then allow their therapist to just try to navigate that with them, because the trust was there, but I knew the trust wasn't with me. And that was so difficult. So again, knowing you need to interfere, knowing that you need to be present, like it or not, this is what this is, and this is what this looks like, and this is why this is happening. When there's a biological need to push back, what a ridiculous place to be. Talk about rock in a hard place, right? You're just, what are you going to do?
That's right. There was take care of her, because there had been so many times when she would have died if we didn't get the medical procedure she needed. So in my mind, it became solidified that if I did not take care of my daughter, even with the small things that were happening, making sure she had all the medical things did on during the day, making sure that we didn't miss doing them at night, that I became mentally prepared every day for something terrible to happen. That is not a good way to be a parent.
No, you're high strung on the low end, right? And then catastrophizing on the high end.
That's exactly right. That's how life was for a time. With her saying, let me do this myself. And me saying, I've noticed too many times that if I'm not there to help, something terrible is going to happen. And that led to my own demise.
I mean, how could it not? But again, it also makes sense, right?
Yeah,
And I don't mean this in a minimizing kind of way, but it's something that helps me cope with my nonsense, my defense mechanisms, and the trajectory of my life and what it has been up to now is just this is textbook,
yeah,
right? This ended up this way because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and however dysfunctional coping mechanisms that I utilize. No wonder my hormones are jacked up, my hair is falling out, I'm gaining weight, I can't sleep, da 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 da. Right? It's because of all these things that I'm holding on to. But also, how can you not?
that's right. That's right. Yep, that's
It's impossible.
exactly.
It's an impossible place for you to be. It's
Yeah.
either self-deprecating because I'm not doing enough, or this perpetual fear of if I don't, then blank.
Again, you're exactly right. So what happens as a result of that feeling constantly? If I'm not doing everything I can to save her life, then I'm not a good person. And the other piece I layered on top of that was, I'm not going to tell anybody. I look like I'm confident. I was really good at my job. I had friends. They thought I was incredible human mother by taking care of my 2 children and my marriage and this career. And never would I ever tell that something was wrong. That's why the title of my book is I Couldn't Tell You, because I couldn't. I added the layer of protecting myself, protecting my children. My daughter Lily, you would never know looking at her there's anything wrong. And so I didn't want to talk about that. And I also didn't want to my own. And that leads to extreme problems.
What was the belief of if you did, what would happen?
I had this crazy idea in my head that I could protect our family. That there's so much shame around physical disabilities. There's so much disbelief that someone can't live the way that she does with the issues that she does. And I thought people would treat us differently because of our difference. We look like everyone. That's what I wanted people to.
Well, because they do, right? This is not, I'm fearful of being judged. It is, they do judge, and I can't handle that on top of everything else.
That's exactly right. And I thought if I could protect my family and protect my youngest daughter, that's what I was going to do, no matter what.
And yes, I appreciate that you used the word shame, because I do hear that there was a lot of that shame as a mom of letting her down or something. What did you blame yourself for?
It wasn't blame. It was a feeling that if I ever didn't intervene in a way that continued on the trajectory of giving her the very best life possible, then I believed I was letting her and my family down.
Mm-hmm.
It's complicated.
And we're just not that powerful, right? To do that, to be responsible for all that. And yet we still 100% absorb that, I call it blame. That because I failed you, then I am blank, and therefore you are blank.
Yeah.
I call that blame. I'm blaming myself for, because this is my own narrative as well, where because I couldn't give you a better childhood, I couldn't prevent this, I couldn't see this coming, somehow I should be, all knowing and all powerful and be able to make sure that this never happened to my babies, but it did. And therefore I'm a bad mom, and therefore I have let you down, and therefore I'm a failure, right? All of the shame language, and mine was very much blame. I am the only person, not the person who's doing the things, right? But I'm the problem because I should have known better. And then being in this field, being in mental health and knowing of these things I didn't know at that time. So I had to really learn to forgive myself for not being who I believed I should have been without the knowledge that I didn't have. Right. So that was a very long, I don't know if it's complete transition. I don't know if I've actually completed that transition yet to forgive myself for what had happened.
Well, in my situation, what happened was, um, I I was struggling in my job. I was struggling with the girls. They were both pushing me away. I believed that my husband could never be as good as I was to be able to take care of my daughter, and our daughter, and that was wrapped into I've given up everything for saving our daughter, and so therefore you can't take care of her because I'm the only one who has given up everything. Meanwhile, he had to keep his job, so we had money, so we had medical benefits, and that dynamic of him working all the time so he could provide for the children and the medical needs that we had. I had a hard time understanding that that's all he was doing. We ended up getting a divorce. And I believed at the time that that was a good thing, both of us, because if I didn't have to worry about him intervening in taking care of the girls, he had to do his part when they were with me. But if I did everything else, then I believe that was a good thing. I didn't have anyone to fight with or blame. It was just myself. And at that point, hit a pretty deep low and found a therapist who helped. And the therapist led to seeing a psychiatrist who helped even more. And the bottom line that psychiatrist said to me was, you need to tell people. You have a great group of friends and an amazing family who could help you. You need to tell them what's happening. Again, the theme of the book, I couldn't tell you. And the psychiatrist says you have to try. So there's a piece of the book where I show raw and real what it was like to share with someone this experience that I had been through.
It's so lonely. I can feel the loneliness, even though this is, through video. I can feel the pressure right here of your loneliness and the isolation that you experience.
Yeah.
People don't know this, especially now. I'm almost religiously advocating for more community and more social outings, even though half the time I'm way too tired. I had a friend ask me yesterday, hey, we going to Block and Drum for dancing tonight? And I was just like, nope, fortune reading tonight. Because I'm exhausted from the week. But, I do try to do these things because in my research, there is so much research out there and more coming out after COVID that loneliness and isolation actually kills. It leads to physiological issues because everything that we don't express, right, it attacks our own bodies, which is, hello. That's what I've been dealing with for the last 4 years. Like, what is happening? Well, we know what's happening. You beat your body to a pulp. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, and it's not just the last 4 years, it's compounded throughout my whole life. And then since I had my children, that was a different set of pressures and trauma and everything else that I've endured. And so now my body is trying to recover. And it's like, okay, sure, those vitamins are going to work right now. After 40 something years of abusing my body, from not sleeping, from holding on to too much stress, from not telling people, there's so much of my own trauma that I didn't tell anybody because I learned at a very young age, if you ask for help, it's not there. And I will never feel that helpless again. And that belief drove me up until when I got divorced. Just because, again, it was a belief system, but it's a belief system that came from my experiences, from my reality. So even though I was a therapist, right, and I had studied these things, and I know the damages of not, there's that childhood belief system that overrode everything else. That if I do this, no one's going to be there to help anyways. So what's the point? What's the point of being vulnerable and then having rejection on top of that?
I think in my case, it's almost worse that I had friends who were waiting for me to tell. I have amazing parents who were waiting for me to explain and to open my mind and my heart to letting go of the idea that I had to protect my family, which meant not help. And when my psychiatrist diagnosed caregiver PTSD, because every time I go in a hospital, I have that feeling. Then I ended up having this reaction of inability to function, depression after I leave a hospital. And that time period, after I've left the hospital, my daughter has been in 20 times into the hospital, that afterwards I struggle. Now I know, with the help of my psychiatrist, I have to call my friend and I have to say, this is what's wrong. But that took many years.
A lot of people don't recognize that we can understand something in theory, right? And I tell my clients this, I'm like, just, does it make sense in theory? Just stop with that. Let that marinate for a while, because just because we are like, oh, that makes sense, doesn't mean that you're going to absorb it and then be able to utilize it and then it's become practice. I wish life would be so much easier for everyone if that was the case, but for a while, it's just, does it make sense in theory?
Yeah.
Not for you maybe, but does it make sense in theory?
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it was like.
And nothing in your life at that point was in your control. Nothing was going the way it was supposed to go. Nothing was what you had believed it would be, what you had hoped it would be, what you had dreamed it would be, right? What so many people take for granted. And believing that you are the only person that can do it the right way is you asserting that, let me try to control something so I can feel like I have some say in the course of my life, in the direction of where this is going.
Correct. That's what I did not believe that anyone could help me. And if I helped myself, I could remain in control. And you're right. And that is a really hard place to land. What I've learned since then, years later, is that many people who have the intensity of caregiving, like I did, end up getting caregiver PTSD.
Yes. Yes. People think PTSD is a result of some significant life-altering event, right? A violent event where your life was threatened, and that's not the case.
No.
It's
When
people don't
you're right.
understand it. I remember I used to wake up and after my divorce, maybe even before, and fly off the bed before my eyes are even open because of the nightmares that I was having, and hitting the walls trying to get to the door to get to my sons. And to the point where I think when my eldest was 9 or 10, when he would hear dug, 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 he would just say, "We're fine, Mom." And I'd be like, because I'm not even awake yet. I'm not fully awake yet. I'm still running from my dream, trying to get to them to protect them. Right. And there was a time where I crawled off the bed like this, and my arm missed the rest of it right as I woke up. And so my arm went down and scraped the whole back over here. And I looked like a battered woman. I wasn't. I fought with the bed. But my clients, they were like, "Are you okay?" And my father was like, "What happened?" And I told him the truth, obviously. And he was just like, "Just say you fought someone, please." That you almost fell off the bed chasing an imaginary monster. But that's what PTSD is. It is this imaginary monster we are trying to protect from. Right? Whether it's protecting ourselves, or for me, it was protecting my sons. And for you, it was protecting your daughters.
That's exactly right. Even to this day, when I go to a hospital, I'm really good in the hospital. So I know how to talk to I know how to get the care my daughter needs. I know how to understand what the doctors are saying medically. I know how to get the correct medication and the support. And I'm also really good at fluffing her pillow and getting warm blankets. So then when we leave and she's healed, and that's when I take it. And that's when I start to doubt every single thing I did. Was it good enough? Could I have helped her beforehand so we didn't end up in the hospital? What did I do wrong? And no one's asking anymore, "How are you?" Because my daughter's not in the hospital anymore. And so therefore, it's this lonely time. So now what I've learned to do is to call my friends while my daughter's still in the hospital and say, 48 hours after she gets out, I need help. And they get ready, and they know I'm going to call, or they're going to call me, and we're going to go for a walk, and we're going to talk. And every time I say, "But I could have done this better," or "I should have done this," or "I should have thought about this," they'll say all the right things that friends say. "Sarah, you're good. Lily's good. It's okay." The other wonderful thing that happened through my process of seeing a therapist, a psychiatrist, and talking to my friends was that my husband and I reunited and ultimately got remarried.
Amazing. How beautiful.
Yeah. And we're good now. We're happy. Good.
Finally.
Yeah. That's right. Finally, I've figured it out. And in fact, that's how I felt I could write a book, was because it can end on a happy note. So if your listeners do get the book, it ends in a happy way, and I'm okay to do a spoiler.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Because, l- life is life. And sometimes life is lifing a little too hard.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone has some challenge one way or another, and some are more on the extreme end and some are not, and some are slow but forever long, and it does just as much damage as these, heart stopping ones as well. And we are so quick to dismiss ourselves sometimes, right? Well, I shouldn't feel this way because it's not as bad as.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's just not fair, right?
No, it's not fair. And it was my friends and my family and my husband ultimately who helped me to realize it's okay. Life is okay. You're good. And our doctors are really good. And all of that is because of all the help of people like you who take the time to help us to understand what's going on inside our head, to create the wrong message. The wrong voices speaking louder than anything else tell us that things are not right, at giving us the courage to be able to find a new path.
So what does your new path look like now?
So I, what was interesting was that my husband said, you need to write your story, Sarah. It's important that people hear first the first 7 years of our daughter and life in Japan. So that was the first book. And then Lily, my daughter, gave me the permission to write this second book. It's our family story, of course, but it's the story of a mother and daughter's mental health story. And she said, my daughter said, people need to know this, Mom. People don't tell these stories. Mom, you're in a good place to be able to tell our story, and you're a good writer. Please go tell the story.
Yes, this is the reason why I wrote in the books that I did. And one of my friends, when she read the first book, she said, it's like reading your diary. It's very uncomfortable for me. And I was like, that's right. Be uncomfortable. And the reason she said it's uncomfortable for me is because she was with me during some of the things I wrote about. And she said I didn't realize how significant it was, because I would also talk about it just like, yeah, blah, 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 instead of, because I had dissociated, right? I'm just recounting what had happened. I'm not experiencing it, and I'm not allowing myself to feel what I was feeling at that moment. And she was like, it's so uncomfortable. And also I see myself in a lot of these struggles, and I don't know if I'm ready to use this as a mirror yet. And I was like, that's right. Be uncomfortable. Because it is only through facing that, right? Using it and seeing it as a mirror that they can heal. And there's so many people out there, again, just like your daughter said, they don't talk about these things because it seems like an anomaly, right? And yet, if everyone who has experienced something like this would talk out about it, people wouldn't feel so lonely.
That's exactly right. Caregiver PTSD is something that many people experience. Luckily, fewer in my case with a child. But as we grow older and take care of our parents or our partners, that's when you begin to experience things, because it's not something you prepare for. You don't prepare to be a day in, day out caregiver of someone. And it's hard. And in my case, it was about the scariness of having to go into a hospital because we didn't know medically what would happen.
Right.
And that creates a different kind of PTSD, but I know it's widespread. Most people who are experiencing this level of trauma do not have the courage, but more than likely don't have time to write a book about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my parents are going through that right now with my sister. So they're full-time caregivers to her because she had a brain tumor, and unfortunately it led to paralysis and she can't take care of herself. And so they are full-time caregivers with everything, just like you were, except my sister's in her 40s, so it's and every time it's like, oh, how are you? I'm just tired. And it's so much more than I'm just tired. But again, I can't be their therapist. So I'm just like, I'm here. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. And sometimes just offering that, knowing that there's someone you can talk to if you wanted to is something. It's not enough, but it's something. So anyone who's listening today, right, if they're like, well, I feel helpless, I don't know how to help my friend, or I don't know how to help my family member who's experiencing this kind of caregiver trauma, just make yourself available. It's still something.
One thing I like to do or learn to do with friends who are experiencing something like this is to send a text in the morning that says, I'm thinking about you.
Yep.
They don't have to respond. They don't have to do anything other than know that I still know. This isn't just today. It's not just yesterday. It's ongoing caregiving. And I got you. I know what's happening. You don't have to tell me the details because, as you said, it's too hard. However, thinking about you.
And I think that little bit, I had told a couple of my friends a few years ago where my baseline for what I was accepting as friendship changed finally. And so one of the things I had communicated was I need people there for me to celebrate me when things are going well, not just be there for me when things are going to shit. Right? Yeah. Like, I appreciate that you're there and that loyalty is there, but I also need to know that when things are okay and when things are normal, that you still think about me. And it's not just, I have to be there for her because her life is falling apart out of duty. Yeah. So just, I saw this and it made me think of you, because I do that all the time. I sent a girlfriend of mine, she's in Portugal right now, this poem that I read in one of the books I'm reading. And it reminded me of her. It was on, it was about a goddess who's just learning what love might be because she didn't have it. She had nothing. Basically, she was a child that was very alone and didn't have parents. And so was just trying to figure out existing on her own. And she was learning what love is through the eyes of other people and how they describe it. And when I went with my friend, we were sitting by the beach, and the way she described her love towards someone, it was so beautiful. And it was pure. And so when I read this, and it was like, seeing love, romantic love for the first time and what that might feel like, when I saw it on paper, it reminded me of her. So I took a picture of it and sent it to her. And I think it's important to do that. I could have just read it and been like, oh, this is something like Miriam had said, and just kept it moving. But letting someone know something so specific, it makes them feel valued, that they matter, that you exist in my world, even when you're not in it.
That's exactly. What a beautiful poem you said. Wonderful. So amazing.
It's written by Nikita Gill. She's one of my favorite authors. It's beautiful. But, I think it's so little, right? Just taking a moment to say, I'm thinking of you, but it can have such a tremendous impact.
For me, it's something I remember throughout the day when I'm in the hospital, that someone just sends a note and says, I'm thinking about you. And I know they go on with their day, and I know I'm still in the hospital, And I know I'm still wondering and worrying if my daughter will be okay. But I know in the back of my mind there's somebody right there with me.
Right. And so you don't feel as alone.
That's right.
Well, how incredible. What a courageous journey, both for you, your daughters, both of them, the one who had the medical issues, the one who also didn't, and just had to sit by and watch all of this unfold, for your husband, for the whole family. It's also very uplifting that a family unit can go through something like this, maybe fray a little bit on the ends, but manage to rebuild their tapestry.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been a complicated journey, but one in the end, I'm really proud of where we ended. It could have gone very differently. It doesn't mean tomorrow won't be hard. In fact, it might be. But I think it's a road bump. It's not something that will set us off different trajectory that's negative. I think we're past that.
Yes. Well, thank you again for sharing your story and being so vulnerable with me. It's necessary. This is why I do this podcast. I think it's necessary to show the authentic, real side of humans and, what the human condition is. So thank you so much for being so honest with me today. If you don't mind holding up your book again. Guys, it's called I Couldn't Tell You. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. And everyone who's been listening, thank you for indulging me and my stories and everybody else on here. We appreciate you. Bye.